Alhamdulillah wahda, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da, amma ba'd. So inshallah ta'ala, we start with the understanding of fasting. Fasting in the month of Ramadan is obviously an obligation for people who become Muslim and they are mature. So what are the certain details there? So there are quite a lot of detail which we revise every year, and sometimes there is a bit of confusion as to what's been happening in and around the world, and people may get different ideas. So inshallah ta'ala, we just go through the initial foundation of that, and then hopefully you would understand certain boundaries, what would nullify a fast. And that's a topic which is quite differed upon nowadays. And so you need to know the principle behind that. Once you understand the principle, things would become that much more clear, inshallah ta'ala. But that will be possibly next week because it's after halfway. So maybe we will have two sessions on the fiqh of fasting, and then there will be, inshallah ta'ala, fiqh of zakat, because that's another important thing which most Muslims are unaware of their responsibilities, especially when they start earning, what is their requirement of zakat. And then we'll talk about a little bit sometime maybe just before Ramadan or in Ramadan about itikaf. What are the regulation about itikaf? We should know that as well and spend some time in itikaf, inshallah. And finally, sadaqatul fitr that will come on Eid day. So we need to know about that as well. So these four aspects: zakat only for those who earn money, and the rest is for almost everyone. We need to know the ruling. Once we are pubertal, post-pubertal, we have to know it. There's no excuse of not knowing it. You are supposed to know it. Oh, I didn't know. That's not an excuse. Like you're driving and you say, by the way, I didn't know that the speed limit, or that's a camera, or that's a signal. I can't go to the right. I didn't know this sign. Not knowing, in fact, you perhaps will get your license confiscated, revoked for that reason, if you say so. Same as here. As a Muslim, you are not supposed to not know it, unless you became Muslim today, and obviously you expect a few weeks before you learn all those basics. So that becomes your obligation. So inshallah ta'ala, with that we start. So what is fasting itself? Fasting literally means imsak, to restrain, to stop, to not do certain things that we're supposed to do. So abstention during the daylight, from allowing anything to enter into the stomach through the mouth, nose, or any cavity in the body, or to enter the cavity of the brain either, or that which has the same legal status of the stomach, such as brain. So any orifices, taking the stuff from there into the stomach or into the GI tract, or in the GI tract means gastrointestinal tract, anything from back passage, from nose, ear, if there was a break in the membrane, tympanic membrane, or the mouth. So any such entry point leading up to something going in the stomach or in the brain through the drip, for example, that might nullify. So we go through all of that, inshallah ta'ala. Whether it's done intentionally or unintentionally, mistakenly. What is the difference between mistake and forgetfulness? That's different. So forgetfulness is different. You're excused, but not for your mistakes. Mistake is a mistake, and you have to, pay the price for that. Like in whatever penalty, we'll come to that. So you also have to not have any sexual relationship. That is not permissible either. And you must have intention to fast. If you're unconscious, or if someone starved you, and without you having intention, this is not fasting. Fasting has to have intention going with that. Now, there's difference on what sort of fast you're making. Is it fard fast? Then what time do you have to have your intention by? For nafil, what time do you have to? So there's a bit of detail there as well, inshallah ta'ala. And then obviously the person has to have certain qualities in them. What is intention? With respect to the intention, it is just in your heart, in your mind. You are firm that you want to fast. You're not forced into it. You don't want to do it, but someone just made you do it. That is not counted. You must have firm resolve that I want to fast. And that's all in your heart and in your mind. You don't have to verbalize it. But to verbalize it, if someone wants to do that, in order to get that clear in his mind, some people are very, very particular about things. If they don't say it, they don't feel that they have done it. For them, it is okay to say with words. There's no hadith to suggest that you have to say it with any words. A certain formula created by people, nawaitu lisawmin, I'm having intention for fun. Oh, وَبِصَوْمِ غَدٍ نَوَيْتُ مِنْ شَهْرِ Ramadan. Having that, saying any words, they are not based on hadith. But if someone does it, it will still be valid. In fact, it is okay to do it for getting your intention purified. Sometimes people cannot do that without it. They're used to of doing it culturally, fine. But verbal or oral, proclamation of that intention is not required. Having the firm resolve is required. What are the conditions for it being obligatory? Number one, it must be a Ramadan, obviously. When Ramadan comes, then automatically every day brings in an obligation for the mature person, Muslim person, sane person to fast. So one must be Muslim, one must be sane, one must be mature, pure spiritual. Now, as with prayer, many a time we encourage 7-year-old to pray, as Rasulullah advised. And if they're 10 and they still don't pray, you can do a little bit of shaking them, make them do it. You actually make them do it. They must do it. They must listen. They must be obedient about that. Although it's not obligation on them. If they don't pray, they would not be sinful. They don't have to make up for that. But when they hit puberty, which is either having a sign of puberty, which is for men, nocturnal emission, and for women, the menses, or they have attained lunar. How many years? For men, 15. So lunar, which is 14 years and 9 months. So if they're that old, 14 years and 9 months, and they haven't had any sign of puberty, they still be considered pubertal. It will become obligation on them to fast then. Or it's long fast, or I'm not quite ready. I've never done it before. I can't stop eating. I'm quite used to this. And when you are pubertal or you have achieved that, then you are obliged to do it. You have to make up for that at a later time if you couldn't do for a genuine reason. I will come to that. And also to know that it is obligatory, meaning if you live in a non-Muslim country like here, and there was no way that you could identify about the Ramadan, so you don't know whether Ramadan is started or not, because sometimes it can happen, but not in the modern day when you have access to internet. Everyone can tell you wherever they are. So, but in olden days, people might not know. They only find out a few days later when the letter came from Pakistan, by the way, or from their country. Oh, by the way, we are fasting. How is your fasting? Oh, I didn't realize it's Ramadan already. SubhanAllah, didn't know it. That's fine. It's not obligation. As long as they are aware, then it became obligatory. What are the excuses? Someone is unwell. Now, this ill health is severe ill health. It's ill health which would make your disease worse if you were to not take your tablets, your drinking fluids, or whatever stuff you need, syrups, or the rest. Maybe you need some extra food or whatever. So whatever is required, if the medical personnel say that you'll be unwell, or with your experience, you know that I have got this condition, my diabetes is playing up, my heart failure is playing up. If I don't take regular medication, I can't wait for 8 or 10 or 20, however long is the hour, depending on the day of the time of the year. So ill health is an excuse. Now, in that situation, what should we be doing? Simply, if you can recover from it, then you have to make up for that at a later date, whenever you're better, after Ramadan, for the missed fast, in winter days, whatever. If you have a condition, God forbid, which would never get cured, meaning it is going to continue like in a demented people, they've got like chronic diabetes, they're just bedbound, heart problem, this and that. It's very unlikely that they will ever get better, where they'll be able to fast. For example, our friend who passed away in 2019, Abdullah Jamali, rahmatullahi alayhi, he had liver cancer. So in the last few, especially last year or so, he had quite severe problem, and he couldn't, fast. So he asked specifically, so he was absolved from that, and he would pay the fidya, feeding 2 people per miss fast. That's for them, but not for someone who could fast and then they don't fast later on. Likewise, women's special day, childbirth, or the monthly cycle, or if you're traveling, even that is an excuse. What is travel in Islamic term? Travel is not traveling from here to your home. Travel is when it is 48 miles, okay? 48 miles away from your destination, from your residence, for less than 14 days, or 14 or less than 14 days. It shouldn't hit 14th day, an hour before. So if you're about 14 days less, and that many days, if you're going for more than that, you are resident, you have to fast. Obviously, while you're traveling in that time, you are allowed to not fast and make up later on. But these days, it's very easy to fast, especially going southward towards Asian countries. Your fast becomes so short. You started now, and then by the time you reach, you're 4 hours, 5 hours ahead already. So you're nearly finishing your fast, way quicker than you would have done. And winter is easy anyway. One should be purified from that. So what does it mean? Sometimes people think, and there's a question someone raised, I woke up and I had a wet dream. Can I fast without, because by the time if I take shower, then I might miss my suhoor, or you don't have to be in the state of purification from sexual defilement, be it with the intimacy or with the ihtilam. One can just have their suhoor and then fast. And they can take shower, obviously, for fajr afterwards. So meaning you do not need to be in that state of purity to initiate your fast. Okay? You can be in the middle of the day, you just woken up and you realize that, oh, I had the dream. Then you can still continue with your fast. Okay, it doesn't break your fast, and you can, meaning you never woke up for your suhoor. Suhoor is not must. It's sunnah, and it is highly encouraged, but you don't have to have that. Even if the clothes are soiled with that, you can still continue with your fast. Meaning you can start off. Obviously, you wouldn't stay like that because you have to pray as well. So, okay, so then how many types of fasting there? The fard fast, wajib, sunnah, mustahab, and nafil fast. Okay, so what is fard fast? Fard fast is fasting of Ramadan for adult Muslim sane people. Likewise, a qada, if you miss the fast that you have to make up later on, that is fard as well. Or if you had a nadar is that you vowed something. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I get this job and I'm desperate for that, or if I get A grades, and then I would fast on that day, or at any time. That fast becomes an obligation on you. Likewise, kafara. Kafara is when you did violate certain Sharia ruling, and there's few things there, you can leave it, so the senior people would know. So then you have to make up for that, but plus the kafara. So whenever there's kafara, so kafara of fasting as well. Some people break their fast. If you are fasting and you just knowingly ate something or drank something or had intimacy, it just nullifies your fast. You're sinful as well. You must repent, and you have to then do a kafara. Kafara is the penalty, which is that you have to fast that one and 60 on top of that, 60 in a row. If you miss any, like 58, I've done 59, I couldn't start again from 60. That's how the severe punishment is. It's very serious. So don't even go there. Don't even imagine that. That's a big, big problem. So that's a big thing. Then there's wajib one. So if someone voluntarily, that is considered, that fast, kafara is for 60, but that one fast becomes wajib because there's a technical reason for that, but that's wajib as well. And sunnah is Ashura, the 10th of Muharram is sunnah. And then this mustahab one is Ayyamul Bid. It's highly recommended, but they're not like fard or wajib. Which one, the Ayyamul Bid are the white days, 13th, 14th, and 15th of lunar calendar. And then you have nafil fast, which is any other day, Thursdays, for example, or Mondays. And then, as we just covered them, there is the fifth one. So Siyam Dawud al-Islam. So the Rasulullah mentioned it is the best form of nafil fast. Siyam Dawud. Dawud al-Islam used to fast one day and not the next day, alternate day fast. So if you fast a day and not the next day and then next day, so alternate it. One day fasting, one day not fasting. That is called Sawmu Dawood, or Siyam plural of Dawood alayhi salam. The best fast is that one. If one get the ability, especially in winter, and mashallah, there are many people who I know, they do it. From November to February, they do it because it's easy. about, maybe 12, 10, maximum 10, 11 hours, maximum, even less. And in December, it becomes 8 hours only. So, from 6 to 4 o'clock, 8 hours? Yes. No, 10 hours. That's 10 hours. So they're not bad. Sometimes it could be whatever. So then when there's disliked fast, and something which is close to haram is on Eid day. Fasting on Eid day, not allowed. So both Eid days plus 3 extra days after Eid al-Adha. What the day that we slaughter the animal. On those days, it is close to haram, so it's to be avoided. It's a sinful thing to do. And then tanzih, which is mildly disliked, is singling out Fridays or Saturday with a condition. I will explain that in a minute. Likewise, fasting on a non-Muslim's festival day, because they are honoring it by doing whatever. But if you fast specifically thinking, this is a special day, then you are honoring non-Muslims festival, which is not considered allowed at all in Islam. You can't even celebrate it. You can't even offer the words of merrymaking or whatever. So Merry Christmas, for example, is not permissible by the vast majority. Traditionally, this is how it is understood. Now, in the modern time, you would find many voices coming in media, because the problem is with the traditional ulama, they don't go in media. And that's the majority, by the way. You go and ask them in masajid, traditional ulama, any maulana, any graduate from any madrasa or proper institution, they would always say the same thing. And they're majority, by the way. But the problem is there's only very small minority, those who go on media, they get the clout. Everyone is listening to them because they're only available on media. The question may be posed, why don't the ulama go on that? Because religion or the education is not spread like, there's snow happening, let's do the spraying of the, what do you call? The grit. So grit spraying. So religion is not like that. Shari knowledge or any knowledge is not spread like that. Whether you like it or not, we are going to spray you massively to everyone. It's not democratization of knowledge. It doesn't work like that. That is why there's no respect left for ilm or for ulama. You sit with the ulama. You go and learn from them. You go to the well and then draw it from here. And that is when you benefit from it. This is why there's a whole chapter dedicated in many, many collections of Islamic literature of traveling to learn deen. Imam Shafi rahmatullah traveled 9,000 miles on foot at different times to learn hadith and deen knowledge. Imam Bukhari went to so many different cities that he said, I can't even remember how many times I went. Several times. Couldn't even remember how many times. In those days, 1,080 teachers that he got hadith from. Different places, all around Islamic world. And every Imam was like that. They all did it. That is the way. Sometimes they would just travel for 1,000 miles, 500 miles for one hadith and then come back. That is their dedication. And that is why they obviously were considered even very high in their regards to their practice and their connection, inshallah, with wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is how it should be. Anyway, singling out Friday, for example, or Saturday, because Friday itself has a very special merit. To add any extra merit would impose the fact that, we are adding something in the deen. So Rasulullah said, don't fast on Friday, don't single it, unless it is coming on your regular fasting day, which is I fast 12th of every month or 11th of every month, whatever, based on my ease. My organization is such that I don't work on the 12th of every month, or 15th of lunar or the Islamic, or whichever one. Then that day comes on Friday, you can fast. Or you do alternate days and that comes on Friday, no problem. Or you're not honoring that. So Saturday, I'm not honoring the Jewish special day of Sabbath. I'm not doing it for Christian special day of Sunday. I'm just doing it because I find it easy. Saturday, Sunday is easy. I get Friday off, so that's why I'm doing it. Then it's no problem. So it's mildly disliked. If you single it out, so normally make it 2 days together. If you can't do it because hot long days, then 1 day is fine, provided you have this idea clear in your mind that I'm not honoring that day, thinking that there is more merit on Saturday than Wednesday, for example. Then that's a problem. You can only do that with what 2 days? Mondays and Thursdays. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would fast on those 2 days, their special days for fasting. Oh, the Friday is way better than all other days, but not for fasting. It's like a Eid day. In fact, you enjoy eating. You should be more focused on eating, like not fasting on that day. So you're doing something opposite to what Sunnah dictates. So that's fine, provided you are not doing it with the self-conceived idea or created idea. Likewise, this Samul Wisal. Samul Wisal is connecting days. So fasting in such a way, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do that. Samul Wisal, he would fast. So this morning he had, for example, this Saturday, for example, or Monday, say Monday. Monday, he had his pre-dawn meal, suhoor. Yeah, he did that. That day, at Maghrib time, he would not break his fast. He would continue. Next morning, he would not have his suhoor. Next evening, he would not have his breakfast, like, iftar. Next morning, not again. Sometimes 3 days, sometimes 4 days, 2 days, depending on how much he wants to combine. He would do it. He was obviously very special. But he said, don't do it. It was not permissible for common people to do it. The certain Sahaba, like relatively newer Sahaba in Medina, out of zeal, say, Ya Rasulullah, we want to follow you in this. Okay, no, want to listen to me then. No, we do, but can we just try copy? Okay, come on. So these few, Rasulullah made them do 3-4 times in a row. 4 days, 3 days, and they were literally completely knackered, so to say bad word, but they were literally drained. And then Rasulullah said, okay, I would have continued for a bit longer, but since you're insistent on that, never do that again. Meaning the Sahaba had this zeal of doing more. That is why Rasulullah said, no, don't overexert yourself. Now, unfortunately, in the current time, we take all those hadiths. See, Rasulullah wanted it to be easy. For those who are doing beyond limits, for excess, we only do this much. It's like, the student who comes every day for 6 hours university time, plus extra 2-3 hours he's spending in the library, working and studying and coming and showing your project and homework and everything. That is the one. When he comes home and study, mom said, no, relax, close it. No, you shouldn't be. Don't stress yourself out, man. Better go and go to sleep. Dad said the same, mom said the same, teacher said the same. And there's another student who bunks most days, lectures, not even doing anything. Even on exam days, just before that, playing with friends, talk, chit-chat, and coming home at 8 o'clock, the older one, the first one, is made to sleep. He said, oh, see, mom said sleep, so I'm sleeping. No, you shouldn't. Carry on. Study until 12 o'clock, and then you sleep afterwards. You haven't studied at all for exam. So that's different. So to quote those hadiths where Rasulullah made it easy for them who are going beyond limit. Look at that. And then apply it to myself. Subhanallah. We are so weak that we don't do anything. So we shouldn't be taking advantage there. Anyway, so that's Samul Dahar is fasting every day, regardless. That is not considered a done thing. Again, for the common people, there's special people, such as special, you would find certain imams did it, but that's fine. Rasulullah would do sometime if you wanted to. Samul Dahar means doing continuous fasting, everyday fast. And that's obviously taxing for people. And it's not good even for spirituality for us common people, because it can cause a bit of distraction and problem with your neurochemical and endocrinological imbalance, and you start fighting with this man and that man, being completely crazy at home. Anyone say hi, punch, because I'm completely dehydrated. So don't do that. That's not good. It's makruh. And then last point, inshallah ta'ala, intention prior to dawn is required in this situation. Before dawn, before morning break, before you fast, you must have that intention for qada of first fast. Okay? And the contrast would clarify it better. So for nafil fast, now this is another concept. There's difference of opinion. If you started your nafil fast, you can start anytime. Rasulullah would sometime come home. Remember, what are the 2 meals that they would have? Ghada and Asha. Only 2 meals. During the time of Sahaba, and historically, even before and after, until this recent 50, 100 years, maybe 200 years, we only had 2 meals a day. That is why you give 2 meals for fidya and everything, 2 meals a day. If they knew, oh, 4 days. Nowadays you have 5 meals a day. Brunch after the light breakfast and maybe a major breakfast 2 hours later. At 11 o'clock, you still feel I'm starving. Tea with some maybe biscuits, and then lunch a little bit later, and then come home and the tea with something extra. The schools, they have their break after 3 hours. I don't know. They have their breakfast and then lunch break, or a tea break, or whatever break they have, and they come home and have the food as well. Subhanallah. 4 meals minimum. That has never been the case. That is why we are all getting obesity, diabetes, this condition, that condition. The norm was you just have 2 meals. So people would wake up first thing in the morning. If they perform tahajjud, fine. Fajr, fine. They would come to Rasulullah sallallahu on the masjid, Fajr prayer, and then straight after that they would go to work. And they would come home about 11ish. So say from 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock, they've done their job. Most of the work is done 5:30, 6 o'clock. And they would come 11 o'clock, 11:30, and then they would get the first meal of the day called ghada. That's a morning first meal. And then they would do the rest, zohar, and if they needed to buy and sell or whatever, a little bit here and there, family time, whatever. And after Maghrib or just before Maghrib, they would have this evening meal called Asha. And that's done. They're done. No more food. No. And food could just mean, handful of dates, 4, 5 dates and a glass of food. That's done. Food done for the day. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at times would come about 11, 11:30 home, and he would find out and he would ask, do you have anything to eat? Or Aisha, or Hafsa, or Salama, whoever son is that? And they would say, no, we haven't got anything. Dude, we don't have anything. Never in the 3 days Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had anything that was cooked to eat. They said, no, okay, I'm fasting then. So he would then fast. He hadn't had anything since last night anyway. No suhoor or nothing, but then he would fast. You can fast. For nafil fast, you can start anything before Dhuhr time. If you intend it before Dhuhr time, you can fast. So, but if you had it and a couple of hours later, for a reason or without reason, you just felt hungry and you broke your fast, you can fast. You can break your nafil fast. There's no sin in that. It's okay. Even for, a friend comes, oh, no, let's have food together. No, I'm not going to have it if you don't have it with me. No, I'm fasting. So sometimes he may insist. Sometimes you can't even tell him because that's not a frank relationship. So, oh, okay, let me just, in order to honor you, we break it together or we eat together. So you broke your fast. So do you have to make up this fast or not? There's difference of opinion. The Hanafi school is very strict on that, based on Quranic ayat, that any nafil action, be it your prayer or your fasting or anything, if you started it, it is not obligation on you to do it. But when you started it, then become an obligation to continue it. You can't break it. Taking the Quranic ayat, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tubtilu, or you believe, do not, la tubtilu a'malakum. Do not make your good action batil. Meaning do not nullify your good action. So your good action was this nafil. You started for the sake of Allah, this very beautiful action of extra 2 rakat. Why are you breaking it in the middle? When you started it, in Hanafi school, it becomes obligation. Likewise for your nafil fast. Then you have to make up for that. Even if you break it, you have to make up for that. Okay, but other schools, they don't make it obligation. It's up to you. You can break, not break, do it. So that's up to them. But this in Hanafi school, they take it. So for that nafil fast, if you're making a qada, then you have to have intention in the morning. You can't have late intention for those because they are, it's like a must for you. Likewise, kafara, you have to have that intention. And if you have an, unspecified vow, you haven't identified the day, but you said that I would fast one day if I get this result or this job or this girl in nikah, halal way. Then you have to make up for that. Once that's done, then you make up, then you have to do that fast. So for that, you have to have identified in the morning before dawn, like in the first thing in the morning. Okay, it's nighttime. And for these, you don't need to. In Ramadan, you don't need to have intention because you have the intention in the beginning. It's all done. You can have any time. It's not required to be done. But ideally, better Obviously, there's difference of opinion on that. And if you've already vowed a specific day, I would fast this Thursday, that's done. You don't have to have before that. It's already been there. Voluntary fast, you can fast anytime, like lunchtime or whatever time. So let's leave it there. And that is the very important aspect that we will cover next time. And this is what are the nullifiers? Because there's difference of opinion about sprays, this thing, that thing, drips, what nullifies and what doesn't nullify, inshallah. But there'll be whole talk just on that, because there is a lot of background and a lot of basic understanding. If you understand those 5 conditions, then you can actually very easily look at anything and apply that 5 criteria. Not it would nullify, and this wouldn't nullify on your own. Then you don't need to ask anyone. So I will equip you with that, because this is what Mufti Rafi Uthmani rahmatullah alayhi now. He did it a few years ago. He passed away a couple of years ago. He is older brother of Mufti Taqi Uthmani Sahab, Dawud Barakatuh, the Shaykh al-Islam. He has compiled this very nice. He just nicely jotted it down. What would nullify your fast in the best way? And that is really been translated by this brother called Wasim Hussain, nicely. So I just would go through that with you, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, it's like, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. If you have any question, you can ask.